Yeah, we find her, the beautiful girl we've been missing. We wanna have her kissing. We find her, now we in love. Say go so, the remix.
DMB, Tux Bites, remix.
Now if I had to lose you like a bad phone connection, I'd change my game to get a better reception. Sit back, let's start this interaction. Don't fight the feelings, just a chain reaction. Your heart won't give you the wrong instructions. Like my GPS, yes I got the right direction. We gotta merge together like a road intersection. Last stop is gonna be my love and affection. I ain't like the mother dudes, they wanna call you shorty, but I'ma call you a beautiful girl. I took your picture home, my mama saw it, she's a very, very beautiful girl. I wanna put you in my video, cause you're so beautiful. You're a beautiful girl. So when you hear us in your radio, turn up your stereo. It's beautiful girl.
Gotta find a shorty, what's worth of a lady. It's nice but maybe doesn't look like 40. It's taking a little time. I wasn't seeing no signs, any traces of my baby. Who's gonna be my baby? But I thought I'm gonna take my time. Within it took a long fine eye. I saw a shorty passing by. She's got this very pretty smile. It was right at the bus station. I tried to make a conversation, holding her arms, feeling so tough. I felt this sensation. It's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. Now I realize I found me a beautiful girl. She's a model, she's so fine. I just wanna take it by. Beautiful girl. Sparkling eyes are killing it tight. I found me a beautiful girl.
My wish came true when I saw you, girl. God must have blessed me with your beauty, girl. Looking so right from your head to your toe. Shaped like a Coke bottle with a smile of a queen. My queen to be, you my destiny. Got a body of a goddess with your beauty. I'm impressed and I'm never in distress. Come on over and be mine. Been searching for a man and now all the cats keep looking to mine. With a sexy walk and a sexy talk, she must be from a planet called the sexy world. I know I ain't tripping, better yet I'm thinking put a ring on the finger, we look good together. Take your place in my heart with your beauty. I'ma say that I'll never turn away. Who would think I'm in love?
Such the way she smiles at me just really makes me weak. The way she speaks to me just really make me go so weak. Keep staring in her eyebrows. All I kept on saying is wow. Your beauty shines and breeze at night. All I really want in my life. Oh yeah. It's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. Fine, brown eyes. I found me a beautiful girl. She's my model, she's so fine. I just wanna take it. Beautiful girl. Sparkling eyes, killing tight. I found me a beautiful girl. Yeah, beautiful girl. Beautiful girl, yeah. Beautiful girl.
Damn. Money. You seen her? Hot Ice. Have you seen her? LP. Have you seen her? I'ma go over to Tux Bites. I know you've probably seen her. He has a lot of beautiful girls with him. Tux, it's DMB, baby. Look.
Beautiful.
I look for a while, but I can't seem to find a beautiful girl so I can make her mine. Time after time I've been searching for a while, but every girl I meet never seems worthwhile. What can I do? I pray to God for an answer. I feel pains in my heart like cancer, and when I find her, I'm gonna romance her. Lace up with presents and gifts, call me Santa. Claus, I make a heartbeat pause. That's my girl, homeboy, not yours. The girl of my dreams, she's more than I ever thought. Show me ass and culture, I think I'm getting punked. She's what I really want, so I'ma go get her. Since I'm a go getter, you know I'm gon' get her. And I will give her the world, anything for my beautiful girl.
Psych. Ooh. It's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. Fine, brown eyes. I found me a beautiful girl. She's my model, she's so fine. I just wanna take it. Beautiful girl. Sparkling eyes, killing time.
loving her, we done enough.
Man of prestige. Ha! Now this guy win. Now you win. Now you win today. Now you win. Now you win. I agree. Man of prestige. Now man you be.
I'm sure some people will be jealous now the way I talk about Ola. But I have learned a lot from him. That's why I keep telling you to follow him. If you don't follow Man of Prestige, now you know.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the show. This is Man of Prestige. My name is Ola. Welcome to you live from my Empire Pro Studios. Yeah, this day finally came, and we're here. We're starting the pre-launch off really nicely. Our guest is right here. He's already backstage. He's well taken care of, and we're gonna have a good time. We have a conversation today. Do me a favor, hit that like button as you're coming in. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. You don't want to miss out on anything I'm dropping, videos, reels, shorts. You don't want to miss out. And by the way, make sure you check the description box. We have the links to all the social media. Make sure you're following everywhere. Shout out to our sponsors: Mo Fresh, Richie, Life with Natu, Adesua, Film Girl, Tima, Show Mama, Grace Corner, and of course D Love. I appreciate you always. Last month we did $146 and 71 cents, and thank you so much. We hit 10%. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. You can always support the platform for as low as 99 cents. Okay, so I want to say thank you for doing that. And yes, we're looking for today's sponsor. If you hear anything that had value to you, please feel free to support at any point in time. I appreciate you. And oh yeah, you can download the book. The one book that's available right now, you download for free at loveandprestige.com, and you can attend the masterclass over there. And the book that we're pre-launching today, you can get on the waiting list for that. Of course, we're 28 days away. All right, so this book's all right. This one is available for free. You can download it for free. You can also access other versions like the audiobook, Kindle, whatever you prefer. It's all in there. Just go to loveandprestige.com, and this is what we're talking about. Okay, so welcome back. I appreciate you always for being here, all the supporters. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. All right, and without any, let me see here, let me make sure that I've covered the house rules really quickly. All right, good. I think we're ready to go. And yes, showtime. I'll be right back.
Beautiful girl, sparkling eyes, killing time. I found a beautiful girl.
It's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One loving her, we done enough.
All right, welcome back. We do have our guest here, but let me do proper introduction though. All right. First of all, shout out to Natu and D Love in the chat. I appreciate you all for being here on time and rocking it out with us. I appreciate you, Natu and D Love. And Natu's going to be our guest on Sunday. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I have a lot of questions, but before we get into that, this is my friend from way back. Okay, before I even worry about tattoos and things like that, this is my friend. Okay, and you know what? I don't know. I should have taken the clip from the wedding, so you can see him dancing when he had a lot of hair on his head, and and he didn't have this salt and pepper thing going on here, but I should have done that. But another day, I'm sure he's gonna come back as a guest another day, and then we can tell even more stories. But we go way back. We're in our 40s now, and some few years back he would probably make fun of me that I was in my 40s, but we're all in our 40s now. And there's a lot of stories, but I really want to hear from his perspective today. But this is a brother that I really appreciate as a brother, as a friend, as a minister, as a spiritual leader. And this is a brother that I really appreciate as someone you can confide in, and especially as a leader of the generations that's coming. behind us. This is a person that I really appreciate, that I really want to continue the conversation with. We've been having this conversation for a while. But when I asked him to be our first guest for this pre-launch, of course it was like a no-brainer. Just, because that's just who it is, But we go way back in terms of this New York and New Jersey streets, in terms of partying, in terms of, I won't say women, I won't say it. Everything, we'll go back. And but in recent times he's been ordained a pastor. He's always had that calling over his life. I will let him speak a little bit more to that himself. But his name is, I call him Niran. I personally call him Niran. I still continue to insist to call him Niran. And but he's Pastor Charles. He's Pastor Niran to many people. He's a beloved to many people here in New Jersey. He's well respected across the board. And my brother, my friend, Pastor Charles Niran, Odeyemi.
Hey, good evening, good morning.
What's going on, my brother? Oh my God.
Thank you for having me on the show. This is such a pleasure.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you. Thank you for making it easy for me. I don't do guests very well because I don't like chasing people around to be guests. So I really, really appreciate it when people say yes, like without making me run through all kind of hoops,
It was an honor for me to be here. I mean, even when you sent me the invitation, I'm like, wow, me. So I'm absolutely blessed to be here. And welcome to all the guests and listeners from all around the world and the country, states, the city. God bless you all.
Yeah, thank you, brother. All right, so I'm gonna have quite a few questions for you today. Of course, we're launching this book. You were the first supporter of this book. Did you know that?
Wow, I didn't.
You didn't know? Yeah, you were the first. You were the first financial supporter of the book, and I'm talking about a very nice check. It wasn't even a check. It was like, oh, here's the book. I'm going to do it right now. I was like, relax. It's like almost 2 months ago. And then next thing I saw, and a lot, So, but thank you so much because it only makes sense that you are also the first guest. And I know you have lots of insight, lots of wisdom, and particularly divine wisdom to share with us in this respect. The reality is that people are struggling. Okay, and we've had our own fair share of struggle, and but they don't believe it because it looks good on the outside right now.
So I know that's what they see, and they see your skin shining, but they don't know the backstory. But there's definitely a lot.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah. So today I have a couple of questions for you. Because I just want to sit back and relax and maybe take some notes because I've done my own part for now. We have a book coming out and I'm just looking forward to everybody getting their hands on that book. If you're watching on Facebook, thank you so much. Hit that like button, share on Facebook, and shout out to all 11 of you that's watching live right now. Okay, we're in the pre-launch. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. Okay, I'm gonna play this short video, then I'll ask you the question.
Sure.
And then we'll get into some of the stories, Right. Let me see if I can do this really quickly. All right, there you go. The name of this brother is he's been going viral recently. It's been going viral because of this whole 50-50 thing. So I'll play it and then I'll ask you the question.
So we can get out of this bad environment.
Right.
What do you say to that scenario?
Of course. Now, if y'all working to become one and move forward so you can elevate your whole family, yeah, I'm with that. But if you need a woman to make sure you're good, you will be homeless without her. A lot of men don't understand that. If this woman said, I'm done with you, you can't even afford your own home by yourself. You can't even afford your insurance by yourself. You can't even afford your groceries, your lights, your water bill. Come on, man. That's not a man. That's a boy trapped in a man's body.
What about the young man?
All right. Let's get into it. So the question, when a man cannot provide 100% for his family, is a boy trapped in a man's body? Do you agree or not, and why?
I'm gonna, because the and thank you for this question. God bless you all. I'm gonna take that question, or because without having the full context of the response of the brother, I'm with the question that you're asking me. I want to say I'm gonna disagree with him a little bit, right?
Okay.
And the reason why I want to disagree with him a little bit is because we all have there's such a thing called seasons, right? There's seasons in our life. Now, if it's someone who simply he's just can't provide without the woman, then yes, that is 100% a boy that is trapped inside of a man's body as he's refusing to grow older, not just physically. I mean, physically, yeah, he's growing, but mentally he's refusing to grow. But sometimes you can be that provider, but you come into a low season where things are just not where this should be. Business is not moving the way it's supposed to be. Maybe unfortunately you lose your job, or you're not able to provide the way that you can, right? There's such a thing as just a man that's just sitting back and just say, well, I can't provide, or you know what, baby, listen, this too shall pass, right? As we say
Right.
in Christianese, right? This is Christian language here.
Mhm.
This too shall pass. This is just for a season. But the moment that I'm able to get back, everything will be all right. I'm gonna, handle my duties the way. So sometimes we do fall into seasons where we're not able to do those things. Now, the kicker or the point there is how is she receiving that? How is she handling you in your season, in that season that you're in, right? Is she supportive, or is she understanding, or is she just saying, well, what kind of man is this? Why did I even decide to get with this guy? So I think it depends on the season that the young man is in.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you. Now, you're right. There is a context. There's a context here, right? And the context is particularly mindset wise. There's a big conversation going on, and it's quite obvious to us that a lot of men are responding to the crisis in relationships, in marriage and dating, with keeping the same energy, competing with their women. That is the 50-50 mindset. Now, they do try to hide under the guise that it's about finances. And it's very easy to get lost in the source of the conversation when we start having finances. So what about when I'm home? And then you and I, before we know, we're in the conversation with them, and then we're doing math, and then we're almost perpetuating the problem, because why are we having this conversation in the romantic context?
Absolutely.
Like you said, there's seasons. There's some seasons of crisis. Obviously, all the resources need to come together, right? And then there's also the divine order of things. If you marry the right woman, right? She can't even watch you carrying all the weight when you clearly need help. She's the helpmate.
Absolutely, and that's where I was saying that how is she receiving this season that you're in, right? Because let's flip the roles, right? If a woman is not able to, let's just say, and I don't want to sound sexist, but a woman is not able to, perform certain duties that is expected for a woman, quote unquote, right? I'm air quoting for those that can't see. If she's not, how is that man now receiving? Is he, saying, oh, this woman is less than, or is he just understanding, okay, this is just a season that she's in, and how are we able to receive those things, right? I think it's very important that for men and women in relationships to understand that, listen, every day is not Christmas, like we say in back home, right? It is not, roses. Every day is not going to be like, you are going to have some times where some things need to shift a little bit, right? Maybe the man is working, the woman is not, or the woman is working, the man is not. So that's just kind of like where we're at sometimes.
And that basically spun out another question, right? You're a man. This platform is Man of Prestige, but we're the Prestige family here. Okay, we're 50-50 women and men here, and you're a man, and you found that your lady is not responding well, right? Your lady is not responding well to a crisis that's going on in that at that point in time, right? What would be your advice to that kind of man? He clearly needs the help, but the woman is not showing up the way his expectations are basically being shot in the head. So how would you advise that man?
Well, listen. So the thing is this: if a woman she's not responding well to situations. So this is the thing. I strongly believe in whether if you're married or you're courting. So I'm going to assume that we're married or we're courting in this situation, right? So for you to say I want to be with this person, it means you understand her to a certain extent.
Hopefully,
right? Hopefully, right? Hopefully,
right.
you understand her not being able to respond well in a crisis situation, right? You really need to do what's called like a root cause analysis, right? I that's coming from my background, of my professional background, that's what we do, right? I come from the pharmaceutical industry. Anytime there's a problem or a big issue, we want to go and say, okay, what is the root cause of this? We want to analyze. We want to do a root cause analysis. Why is she not responding well? Is she inexperienced in this type of situation? I've learned that in my role as a pastor, I've learned that asking a lot of questions will pull out a lot of the things that you are looking for. Will get you a lot of results and a lot of answers, right? But you have to ask the questions the right way. Absolutely, right? Right. You have to ask these questions in the right way. So for her not responding to these questions or not being responsive in the time of crisis, there has to be a reason for it. One of the many reasons is she just doesn't have the answer, or she does not know how. Right. Some women feel like, because they have this nurturing nature about them, maybe at time where they feel like I just don't have an answer, and they shut down. Or they're just not able to, give a reliable type of answer or some substance, right? Think of the role, right, as a man, right? Sometimes as a man, if we're not able to provide in a time when our family need, how do we feel? We feel sometimes as a man, right? We're men of prestige. So let's speak on this a little bit, right? You might feel a moment where you shut down or you reevaluate yourself, right? So maybe in the roles or crisscrossing the roles for a second, that might be the case. Maybe she does not know how to respond to this crisis, or a more hurtful.
Or she's just been evil. Let's just say it. She's just an evil. Or she's just been an evil woman. You're evil woman.
We can say that, right? So I'm using the more pastoral term, right? She doesn't.
I hear you. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And this for the gentlemen out there, we're gonna realize and we're gonna learn something, that sometimes some things that are weighing down, or you consider them to be a serious crisis, they may not.
Right. If you just calm down, ask some questions first.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I give you a good example, right? I know of a couple that they were going through a couple of things, and the lady was like, she was going through some personal things, right? And she mentioned it to her boyfriend, and the boyfriend now says something like, and maybe she heard him say it under his breath, or he was talking to one of his friends, like, yeah, it's not a big deal, but it was such a big deal to her. So you can see and understand sometimes what you consider a crisis, or what I consider a crisis, your partner may not. So you might need to, explain. Sometimes communication is really, you have
to express.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, good. So we took it a little seriously there. So, for me, the 50-50 gentleman, you approach your relationship 50-50, you deserve 50% of the joy in a healthy relationship. That's just Pastor Niran did not say that. I said that. You deserve. I said that you deserve 50% or 50% of the joy in a good relationship if you don't show up as a man first. Because at the end of the day, there's seasons, but there's also a season to sow, and then there's a season to wait, and there's a season to harvest. If you don't lead first, you will collect. But I'll leave the sound effects alone for now. But let's get into this next question, right? Can you share some memories of our early 20s and how our friendship has evolved since then, from your standpoint?
Wow. Yes. So I'm okay with, I mention it all the time whenever I preach in church or speak to the youth about how, we would party. We go to New York, we party, we spend the night, maybe it's Friday night or Saturday night. Sunday morning, we're in church, right?
We're in church. We're in church.
You don't miss church.
Right.
You don't miss church. People will look and they won't know that we were out partying Friday and Saturday night.
Have no idea. In the middle of Queens, in the middle of Brooklyn, and we make it back to Jersey.
And people in the church were just like, wow, these young men are anointed.
Right, Jim for Christ.
But we thank God. We thank God for the journey, right?
Yes.
We're at. I think from coming from that age or that stage rather, where we were just mainly focused on having a good time. I know you've always been kind of focused on business. I know that investments and things like that. Me, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was just trying to have a good time.
Really?
I was trying to have a good time and serve God at the same time, because back then still serving in church, but I was still trying to have a good time. I didn't necessarily have a 100% clear-cut idea of exactly what I wanted to do in life. So, but I know that you always were very interested in that. So,
right. I've always found a balance of some sort. I've always found a way to, the church thing was more of a reflex for me. It's just the way I was raised. So if I don't come to church, I won't feel like my normal self. And then I did have a good time, and I was about having a good time too. And I would not trade that for the world. I would not change that. I wouldn't advise anybody to go through life or go through those stages, early 20s, and not sow your royal oats in the weird ways, like Didi way. Not go crazy, because you might just completely lose everything and not make it to the 40s. But to have a well balanced outlook on life, because a lot of people get married and they now start to look for the fun.
Exactly, and that's where there's a lot of danger.
It's dangerous.
That's very dangerous. We do a lot of these. You do marriage counseling. There's pastoral roles. You do marriage counseling,
of course.
Marital counseling, and other things that we're looking to do now is even before you're even talking about getting engaged, when you're courting someone seriously, let's have some serious discussions and talk so that you don't miss, because it's fine. That's part of our youth, right? Spend your youth.
Absolutely.
That's part of your youth. We make those mistakes so that now me and you, the two of us, we can go back and tell the young people, hey, look, this is what we did. You guys don't have to necessarily go the same route.
Right.
Mistakes, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I just don't. I feel I've seen some people going through something. There's obviously marriage has this craziness. Just any type of collaborative efforts between human beings will create friction, right? So, and oftentimes you're not prepared for it until you're inside of it.
That's right.
And then, the only thing that you might find useful coming from premarital counseling is hopefully you had some conflict handling skills. Hopefully. Because this is a person you allowed into here, and they're literally going to put a dagger.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily intentionally, but that's exactly what they did. Right?
Yeah.
So now, with that being said, I have this question for you.
Yes, sir.
You've been through the challenges of a failed first marriage, and now have a successful second one. Shout out to the family. I like to keep the family out of. I don't want to bring them in unless they're here as adults. But shout out to Diola. She's an adult. Diola is our wife. Hopefully one day we'll bring her here. She's a content creator too, so maybe I'll be able to drag her here one day.
Yeah.
How have these experiences shaped your outlook on love and commitment today?
Wow. I'm gonna say this. Having and I'm 100% an open book with this topic, and because I believe that some of our experience.
Before you continue, hold on.
Yeah. Yes.
I was at your wedding, the first and the second one.
Yes.
And I'm so happy. Okay, you were one of my groomsmen, but I was married. I'm happy you didn't call me to come and be a groomsman after being a married man. I did that for my brother. I'm like, why did you put me in this? you know. You know, but the thing is that I was at your wedding, and oftentimes we'll have conversation back and forth, you know. I left CAC Agbalaitra for some years before
Yes.
I came back again, but we kind of stayed in touch, you know. And I came to your wedding with my wife, of course, and then I called you. I don't know, for whatever, and this is how open book. That's what I want to speak to. That
Yeah.
you are,
Yeah.
and I was like, how's I said, happy married life? How's married life? And then you go, she never came home after the wedding.
Yes.
My brain was like, what?
Yeah.
You know, but continue. You just
Yeah.
wanted to.
No,
But that's how much of a open book you are, because I was on the phone, and then in your voice, I'm like, you have to know Niran to be able to hear the disappointment, because he's always smiling. You see that smile on his face? He's always smiling. You can't, like, it's. Well, go ahead. How has that shaped? Just tell us as much as you can tell us.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so let me say this. I am an open book to people who I trust, right?
Right.
I trust you. There's a couple of us, you know, brother Kenny,
Right.
trusted. Some of my
Brother Kenny is going to be on the 17th with his beautiful wife,
awesome,
my
awesome.
knuckle coconut head sister, who we're always competing that we did the matchmaking, but you and I were
Yeah,
different.
you know, we'll talk about that offline.
Right.
You know, the thing is, yes, I'm an open book to those who I trust. To others who, you know, so the thing is, when you asked me that question back then, I know I can trust you, because I know, like, any information that's going to come from you, or any advice that's going to come from you, or any word of knowledge that will come from you, it's from a good place, right? No matter how hard it may hit, it's from a good place.
Wow.
Other people, within that same time frame, other people ask me, you know, hey, how's that married life? How's everything going, right? Other
Right.
people ask me, and I just said, you know, God is good.
All is well. God is good.
God is good. God is good.
Right.
I
Right.
have enough trust, because I don't know what you want to do with that information. I don't know.
Absolutely.
And some of the wounds that we go through, they're still very fresh. So, and you, in that time, you need people who, you know, will handle it with care, but with the wisdom of God, right? So,
Absolutely.
and that's, you know, I just say that to kind of give a little better preface to your question. Now, how did those experiences that I went through, how did it shape me to be who I am? You know, I want to say, everyone goes through a wilderness experience, right?
Absolutely.
Wilderness. That right there was my wilderness experience, right? And there's a lot of things that happen in the wilderness. You learn exactly who you are. You learn exactly what God wants you to be. You learn your weaknesses. You learn your strengths, right? So it taught me to be much more focused on things, because I realized, like, look, at that point, there were people who came, and like yourself, like you called to check how are things going. But then there were other people, man, you know, they came up with different stories, because the lady that my ex that I was married to, she went on a tirade, a tirade of just all different types of stories. I was this, I was that, and people were believing it, and some of these people I knew.
You were believing it?
They were believing it. People love to hear juicy
Right.
gossip.
Right.
Want to hear the
Right. Right. Right.
So, and they believed it. They carried on. Man, I'm telling you, I lost weight. I lost a lot of things, but one thing that I did not lose, I'm telling you, oh my God, my faith.
Faith.
It was shaken. My faith was shaken. I never lost my faith in God. There is a backstory to my wife, my wife now, Adela, my wonderful, beautiful wife. We'll get
absolutely,
to that.
absolutely.
Right? But
yeah.
That experience really shaped me to be much more vigilant, much sharper, understanding that, listen, sometimes at the end of the day, all you have is your real village, right? Your village and God. After absolutely. God and your village, that's really what you hold on to really, really tight. And it teaches you to be much more focused on what you need to do. And you realize that, look, people can praise you today. People can praise you today. The minute, they hear something, whether it's true or false, tomorrow they're backstabbing you. right? So that it teaches you a life lesson. Like again, like I said, that for me was my wilderness experience.
You know, yeah, you know, that is such a fantastic insight that you just put into this. Some men now call it the red pill face. This is my pastor. I have to control myself here for a second.
It's all good.
The weirdos on the internet, they have what they call the red pill face. And then they say, and then some, the other side of the weirdos too, they want to do self-discovery without putting themselves out here and actually gaining some experience, you know. And but I'm glad you said that's what you know, that I'm glad you shed some light on how it's helped you even become stronger in your faith, in real life, more focused. You know, there's something I call frame of reference. If you don't have frame of reference, you don't even know the difference between right and wrong. You're just all over the place talking about right and wrong, black and white, red and blue. But you're just within just that isolated, just your own brain. You're in a cave. You're living in a cave. So nothing can hurt you. You know? So, but when you put yourself out here, right, and you take a risk, you take a chance on love, on life and love, right? You will get hurt. And it's not a bad thing per se. Of course, nobody wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to go to a heartbreak. Nobody wants to chop breakfast.
That's right.
But your best self is inside, it's on the other side of that experience.
I'll tell you what. Listen, everybody says, you know, when you look at, let me use, we know this, you know, gold. Everyone, you know, loves gold. Your wife loves to wear gold, right?
Right.
I was asking, what is the wilderness phase? I'm going to explain that in a second.
Right. If you have a question, put a Q and a colon and then put the question so I can identify the question. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So gold, right? Gold is beautiful. Gold is, you know, it's precious. It's costly. And we look at it. We look at gold and we're like, man, I want to buy this gold watch, this gold necklace, this gold whatever is worth $10,000. It's worth $15,000. But the truth of the matter is that gold is until it's been purified and it goes through fire.
Right.
It has to go through fire. It really, really has to go through that purification phase. Has to go through that beautification phase in order. Nobody, listen, if you see gold on the street and not knowing, and it looks all dingy and dusty, people are just going to walk past it. No one knows, right? So a lot of people, before they go through that refining phase, right? That's where, you know, sometimes we're like that. We're in that stage where people can just walk past you, but until you really sharpen yourself, you go through that fire, you dust off all of the impurities,
right,
shining and you're bright, that's where people can actually see the value in you.
Right, absolutely. I think they say for diamond pressure, anything that's worthwhile in life, it's not easy. Like everybody's looking for the easy way out. But anything that's worthwhile in life, and you know, I granted some people's experience are just worse. You brought a wife from Yankee or to Niger, from Niger to Yankee, and then they left you overnight. Listen, I understand your struggle, but there's a good chance there's something in there if we really listen closer to your story, if you're open, that we can have a conversation around that. Do you want to speak to this question? What is the wilderness phase?
Yes. What is the wilderness phase? So I, you know, of course, like, you know, I'm a pastor. So, but I know that, you know, many of our audience, they may not necessarily, but I like to use the reference because it's very practical as well.
Right.
You know, in faith.
No, I'm a church boy unapologetically here. Please feel free to reference it. The scripture is, I tell them all the time, it's 100%. If your own interpretation of this scripture is discombobulated, that's not our fault. But the scripture is 100%. Go ahead, bro.
Yes. Yeah. So what the wilderness phase is, you have to go into the Bible, right? In the scripture, it tells us in the book of Exodus, right? Second book of the Bible. What happened was God was taking the children of Israel out of Egypt, right? He told them, I'm taking you to this land of promise. I have a promise for you. So Egypt represents, so let's take it this way. There's three phases. There's Egypt, where they were in bondage, in slavery,
right,
under oppression.
Right.
And there's the...
Sounds like the American dream, but continue.
Absolutely. So there's Egypt, which represents the bondage and oppression. Then there's the promised land, which they're going to. But before you actually get to that promised land, there's a period in between, which is called they have to go through the wilderness, right? Which is like the desert, which is like it's hot. It's
No food, no water, hot.
no food, no water, no electricity. It's just maybe you have to live off of like the plants. You have to it's very bare. It's man, it's unpleasant. It's an unpleasant place to be. Well, guess
Right.
what? That place you learn survival skills. You learn how to sharpen your intellect. You learn how to trust God more. You learn a lot about yourself, your strength, and your weaknesses. And
Right.
sometimes you're in the wilderness. Oh, I love this. In your wilderness, this is the place where you will know, because some people will be in the wilderness with you, and some people will just be like, bro,
Yeah, like peace.
that's where you begin to understand exactly who you are, your calling, and shapes out your insight for who you're going to be and where exactly you're going to get to.
Absolutely. Self-discovery, it's only useful if you're single, if you've actually been through something. If you're self-discovering and you're using that to build a fence around yourself and you're afraid to put yourself out here, you're not discovering nothing. You're playing safe. That's what you're doing, But that's a whole different conversation. That was the frame of reference things I was talking about. That's what you just highlighted, which is there is Egypt, there's wilderness, there's the promised land, right? And oftentimes people want to make up ideologies from both extremes, which is Egypt or the promised land. And they don't consider that sometimes life will be rough in the middle. In the
middle, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a question for you, right? Could you walk us through the journey of finding love again after I don't know if it was annulment or divorce of your first marriage?
Yeah. So after the annulment, right? So like I said, we got married. This is my first marriage. We got married. She lives out of state, and I live here in New Jersey. Bought a house, brand new house.
Beautiful. Bought it right next to one of our friends.
Yes.
My boy Ishmael.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, expecting, doing what a man is supposed to do. And, from my recollection, you marry a woman, you put her in a nice environment, you do all these things. So after the wedding, the plan is, hey, move in.
Go home.
Go home.
Hello, ni ayato. Ijaji ni.
I mean, she started the next day, man. She started singing a different tune. Yeah, I'm not moving there. I'm not moving to New Jersey with you. Whoa. So that right there was like, anyone that's like listening, this is not a movie. This is actually real life, right? This really, really happened. This is a real situation. But we thank God that, even through all of that situation, I'm able to find love.
Right.
Find.
Just go ahead. Don't just go ahead. We're just showing the chat as we go. Continue.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So being able to, find love, so being able to find the so for perspective, and I want to give context. If anything I say, I want to give context to it. So that first marriage was in 2012.
Right.
I got married again to my wife now, who we've been together and we will be together forever and ever and ever.
With 2 beautiful children.
Amen to that. Yes. That was 2016. Now, I give you that as a reference. It's 4 years difference, right? Most people will not be willing to get married again that quickly.
Yeah. 4 years was pretty decent. And I believe there are many of our friends and people around us that probably don't even know that you had a first marriage to today.
Yes.
Because it was such a short span thing, even though the wedding was societal wedding in every standard. Yes. So, but they had to be close to you to know that, or even with the experience that we've all had. We're not inside of your marriage now, but the experience we've seen right now with you and Diola, right? We have to force ourselves to remember that event. That's how beautiful it is right now.
Yes, and that's part of what I believe when when God says that He heals, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds, right? It's going through the fire You go through that and allow God to just heal you, right? So, and I gave the years for reference. 2012, 2016, right? Most people will not. Again, I mean, my wife now, Dila, we started dating 2 years after that. So got married in 2012.
Right.
And Dila and myself, we started dating in 2014.
2014.
When we started dating, I knew that's who I was going to marry. So let me give you the backstory. This is so interesting. Back in 2009, right? I started to look at myself. Back then I was about 28 or 29 back then. I started to say, you know what? I know to get married in a couple of years. I want to do this. So what did I do? Right, as a very good Christian young man, I started to fast and pray.
Right.
I wanted God to show me exactly who I was going to marry. Who exactly is it that you wanted me to marry? So I went into fasting and praying for about 5 days. Okay. And then in my dream, I started to see my wife, Dila.
Really?
We've known each other. We go to
right. She's from a sister church or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Our sister from New York. So we've known each other. I started to see her in my dream. Facebook. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, wow, this girl is, man. All right.
Niran, you were seeing this woman in your dream.
I was seeing her in my dreams. So this is the funny thing, right? It was so.
At least you didn't say you saw a vision. At least you slept first before you said. But no, go ahead, please. You were fasting, you were praying, and you started seeing her.
Yeah, I started to see her. She would pop up, and I'm like, man, I've seen her before, but this is like you're seeing her in a new light, right? This woman is absolutely gorgeous. So in my head, I'm like, yo, God, this must be the person you want me to marry. So what do? I go and approach, right? I was like, listen, I want to take you out. I went.
Thank you.
But I had,
you didn't say I saw you in my dream, Sha.
No.
Okay, all right.
From that, but yeah, no. Oh, no. The funny thing is, then I went through, aunties, church aunties, our friends, everybody was trying to, spice it up,
link it up. Like, it's a fine boy here, fine girl. What's going on?
She was not interested at all.
Really?
She was not interested.
Really?
She didn't even. I had to it took me almost a year for me to take her out on a date.
Really?
Yes. This is for reference. This is 2009, 2010.
So this is before the first marriage.
Yes, before the first marriage.
This is definitely a movie. Go ahead.
Maybe I should write a book. Maybe
you have to write a book. Are you kidding me? You're gonna have to write a book. Of course.
Absolutely. So, in my head, I'm seeing her in my dream. Definitely, this is who God is telling me to go and marry. So I approach her. It was just not really interested. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I tried. Nothing. So I went my separate ways. She did her own thing. And then I met, the lady that I first married. And then it was completely disastrous. We got a divorce. You guys know the story.
Now, before you continue, was it did you sense anything during the date or courtship, I should say, marriage? Because you said disastrous, but clearly it wasn't all disastrous until it was disastrous, right?
There was red flags. To quote your
red
book.
Flags.
To quote your book, there was red flag. There were tons of red flags. There we go. I'm hoping. Oh yeah. there definitely were red flags. Those red flags, sometimes we ignore them when you're blinded by love or what you feel is love.
Right.
You are, emotionally engaged, and I want to say this too. When I was reading the book, right, the story of Jojo and Zainab, right, Jojo's perspective. I don't know if anyone. I hope I'm not.
No, go for it. Shoot for it.
I'm not.
Now they have to look forward to Jojo and Zainab.
Exactly. Spoiler alert, right? Jojo's the kind of person that has this, he's always on alert for red flags, right? So there was a lot of red flags, and not just from me. Within me, I was feeling, man, am I sure I really want to do this? But I'm like, you know what? I can change her. I can make an impression on her to change, right? I say this, when someone tells you or shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them. They may not say this is who
Trust
I am.
them to keep showing up that way, at least. That's what Tyrese's wife said. Trust them to keep showing up that way.
Listen, it is 100% accurate, 100%.
You're not gonna change them.
You're not gonna change them. Only God can change that person until they're ready to change, right?
Right.
You will not change them. So I look at the red flags. Even people were messaging me private message on Facebook. But back then we didn't have DMs. DM was not activated on Instagram yet. So
Right. 2012 must have been MySpace, Facebook.
Facebook, yeah, that's Facebook
Yeah.
stage. So
Maybe Instagram not yet.
Instagram was
just coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. So people will message me privately, create accounts. Listen, hey, I see you're coming around, you're dating this person. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, run. I'm sharing this. This is the first time I think I might be sharing this publicly. But yeah. People would say, look, this is not somebody that you.
But they were looking out for you clearly, from what we know now.
They were. But the thing is this, and I know we're probably gonna get into this a little bit before I get back to the our love story, right?
Feel free. Yes.
There's such a they who are narcissistic, people who are controlling, they have a way of conditioning people,
right?
Or they have such a way of conditioning people that they're just starting to date, right?
Right.
We start to prep them. Like right now, if you are dating someone that is narcissistic, someone who has a lot of red flags, they'll start to prep you. Oh, yeah, I don't really talk to those people. They're full. That circle of people is full of haters, so I stay away. Or yeah, those people are kind of jealous of my achievement. So
they are isolating you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So for all those that are listening, that's one of the big red flags, right? From my experience, isolation. They try to condition you. So when you start coming around people that know them very well, they, you might think, oh yeah, he's told me about them already. So yeah, I'm not gonna listen to them. So those things were happening, right? Red flags after red flags. So before it became disastrous, there were a lot of flags. There were a lot of, cautionary flags going up and saying, hey, listen, I don't think this is where you want to go. But we're gonna, I know we're probably gonna jump back to that in a bit. But so we got married.
So finding love again. That's where we're at, right? Finding love again. So now you met her 2009, and you took Diola out on a date.
Yeah, in 2007. We met. So further back, we met in 2004. Actually, you
way back.
Remember her, but we were all going to Maryland. We drove to Maryland that time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the youth convention.
Does she remember this?
She remembers. Yeah, she remembers it very.
Diola remembers this from 2004. Oh, that would be an interesting conversation.
Like nothing.
Right.
We saw her. We met. Hello, how are you? And that was it. But back into 2009, 2010 is where I started to recognize her really. Like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. I want to get to know.
She must have been quite. Was she a teenager or? In her in 2004, she'll be late teenage years.
She was then 19. I was 20,
right.
22.
I wasn't supposed to be paying attention to them. You're right, but continue.
But yeah, so like I said, she wasn't interested. After we came back to try to date her, and then I went on to marry, and that marriage, like I said, we ended up divorcing. It didn't even really last 2 months. It did not last 2 months where, she says she's just not moving in. And so we ended up, getting an annulment. Now we fast forward to 2014, and part of when you are in that isolation stage is when your wilderness stage is, you start to, gain more confidence. You start to build yourself. I'm going back to the gym.
Right.
I think I'm looking good, as I can say that boastfully, right?
Yeah, absolutely. From what we saw on the outside, I would definitely dash you to somebody that their head is correct as fast as humanly possible. But quick question before you continue. Mom C is my mom C.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, how did she react to all of this back then?
Man, my whole family, they were devastated, but.
I feel like Daddy will probably be like, you got this. I feel like did he do that? 'Cause Daddy also cried. He cried on your birthday, on your 40th birthday.
Yeah.
I saw that man cry. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I need to go outside. I'm about to bust.
They were devastated. Let me say this, and this is very important. They were devastated, but not surprised.
Not surprised. Oh, these people know.
They were saying, because look, as a young man or a young woman, sometimes when you have your mind made up,
Right.
nothing is going to change.
Nothing. And I think that's a good thing. I think, like we're saying, the wilderness is not all the way a bad thing. If you didn't go through that, they couldn't train you what you learned in that wilderness. They couldn't teach you, obviously, because if they might have tried, but it won't be as effective as what you know today.
Absolutely. It will not. It will not. That's just the honest to God truth. It just wouldn't. But yeah, they were devastated, just not surprised. I mean, it was very painful. The shame of people knowing you in the community. All of these things were very, very painful. But in all things, God's yes, it was because they saw it, and they saw one of the things, like when you're dating or courting someone, you bring them around, right?
Right.
Around your family.
They can see they can see that person's conduct.
They can see it, and this is the type of person that, listen, I'm sorry, but I would not leave her alone with my pastor and pastor's wife or anyone that I know. I'm like, man, am I gonna come back and she's cursing them out, or am I gonna come back and she's like,
right,
ain't throwing fists at
now
that?
shortly before you got married, I'm not sure if you're already engaged or not at that time. I left the church. I came to the church 2003. I left in 2009. So I think in between you got married, right? There was a praise night. She was there. Am I correct? Your ex. She was at one praise night.
Yeah.
At least.
Yes.
Because I would come around as, because I kept being the family. I come and play the keyboard and stuff.
Yes.
She was? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to see if I remember that very well. Yeah. So, but I didn't have any interaction to be able to tell anything, So, but yeah, you're correct. The folks, they know. They know. And sometimes they try to help. Even if they try to help too much, to backfire in the worst way.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's one of those things. They, like I said, they were not surprised, devastated, but not surprised, I would say. And that's one thing, I tell people this, especially the young people, when you're courting or dating someone seriously, make sure you don't isolate yourself, please.
Right. You got to be outside. For me, like, for example, my wife, we went through our own experience, and they saw what they might consider not surprised to, but we're on the other side of it, still together. I always tell people, with or without that person, we both teach that now. If you go through some kind of crazy, with or without that person, just work on yourself so you can attract love again, which is what we're talking about right now. You will attract love again with or without that person. How it's gonna play out, we never know. But one thing I did a lot is I brought her around everybody, everything. It wasn't intentional though. It's just me. I'm outside. I'm doing events. I'm like, we go to parties, all that kind of stuff. So it's, there's some things that that will get picked up. And if you can save it, you save it. If it's truly an experience that you need to go through, like the one we're talking about, then it will be. Are you okay? It looks like your eyes might be swollen a little bit. You okay?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm okay.
Okay, all right, good.
Just lack of sleep, that's all.
Okay. Make sure you're resting. Yeah. So yeah, let's get back. So finding love again. So now you got married, right? And no, not married yet. Annulment, right?
Yeah.
From annulment to connecting with Diola.
Yes.
Let's put a name on it since we already said it. She has a beautiful name too. But
Yes.
Diola is my G, just like Lola is your G. She has 2 questions for you, by the way, that we must tackle before we leave. But
absolutely, that's
all right.
You can ask any question.
Anything. Right. So so from annulment to Diola, back to Diola, because you already met her before.
Yeah. So after I got the annulment, I kind of went on, let me just chill, nothing serious. There's and it's so funny, like all I was getting, everybody knew what was going on, or the ladies knew what was going on, and they were coming out of the woodwork. I'm like, wow, you were interested? I didn't know. Oh,
Right. You're entering your prime. That's what they call it.
well,
They can see it.
so I had a couple of people that I let them know too. This was me. I was very open, and it was, you can say we were dating, not courting, and we were dating. Getting to know each other. Maybe we'll go out, we'll spend some time together. But I always let them know, like, hey, we're friends. We can date. We can get to know each other. I'm not ready for anything serious. But the funny thing is this, though. One day I went somewhere and I, took a picture on Instagram, and Diola never comments on the picture or likes it. Maybe once in a while she'll like the picture, but never.
Don't tell me that Diola was sending choosing signals. Go ahead.
Absolutely, that's what she did.
Love it. Like.
That's
like.
Listen, and the funny thing is this, right? And the listeners are probably gonna laugh at me for doing this, right? But listen, I'm a man, and I like to try to be honest, right? So one of the things is this, that anybody that I was talking to then, they would always ask me, oh, what's your type of woman? What do you like? And I always like, look, there's one lady that I was so interested in. She's dark skinned, beautiful. Sometimes I would show them the picture, like, look at her. This girl's gorgeous.
Wait, you were carrying the picture around, or you showed it on Instagram? Which one?
I showed it on Instagram.
Okay,
so
right.
So they would feel like, why? I'm here. Why are you showing me this? But look, I'm like, look, it's just what it is. We're friends.
I'm interested in that. You were focused.
I was focused, but I used to say, you have nothing to worry about. She doesn't even care for me.
They have nothing to worry. You just show the picture, and they have nothing to worry about. How did that work out?
I wanted them to know what
they are competing against.
Possibly competing against, right? So, but the funny thing is, so this one day I posted a picture, and she commented on it. I was shocked. Funny thing, I was not even the one who saw the comment. It was somebody that I was kind of talking to at the. She's like, "Oh, so it looks like Diola made a comment on your picture." I'm like, "Wait, what?" I'm like,
monitoring spirits. They were there too. They were there too.
It was such a. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, nah. This was April 2014. This is why I remember it so well. This was April 2014. She commented on the picture. I'm like, wait, why is she commenting on my picture? So I'm like, listen, you strike while the iron is hot.
Right now.
The very, very, very next day, I just sent her a text message. I still had a number. I'm like, hey,
what's up?
Going? From that April 2014 till this very moment, we have been on. Been on. That's going on 10 years.
What month did you say?
April 2014.
2014. Wow, that's been a minute now. Wow, time flies, man.
So,
time flies.
That's how we reconnected.
Awesome. Funny
story. Let me tell you how God works. This is so
yes.
God works.
Tell
right?
us.
So as we're getting reconnected, and we're talking and we're dating, I asked her, I'm like, so what made you comment, or what brought you in? She told me that she had gotten to a stage where she was starting to pray and fast and pray and ask God for her husband. And in a dream, she sees me, and mind you, we haven't talked for years. I was not even on her mind.
Really?
In a dream, she sees me in her dream. And the funny thing, her dad, maybe a week or two later, her dad said, hey, it's so funny. I had a dream. I saw Niran coming into our house. And she's like, oh my God, I had a dream that I just saw him in the dream. And I don't know what it means. And then it took her months to even wrap up some courage to even find a way to, say something, right? So
she probably came looking for the page on Instagram. So in other words, you and Diola are spirit husband and spirit wife. For those that are always concerned about spiritual husband and spiritual wife, you can actually be married to your spiritual husband and spiritual wife here. Stop looking around or lurking around, I should call it, the internet of the spirits. But yeah, that's an awesome story, man.
That's why, you know, I gave the context to the dates, the years, so that anybody that knows me, maybe somebody that we used to date, you know, they might be listening. So you know
They're gonna
I'm
be
being
all right. They're gonna be just fine.
right. It, because normally it's not. I'm not supposed to get back in that fast. You understand what I mean? I'm not supposed. It's too soon to, you know.
Right. You're saying 2 years is too soon?
Well, to be saying that I'm ready to get married again.
Right. You think it was too soon?
Yeah, after that kind of big heartbreak, disaster, you know, annulment, divorce, you know, big shame, going through everything that I went through.
Right.
I would say in a normal sense it would be, but because of
what would you attribute the fact that you came out soon, let's call it soon, and you were able to do this in a healthy way, in a way that's actually ordained by God? What one thing would you attribute that to?
God. It can't be anything else but the Spirit of God. Because, and I, you know, I don't want to sound so churchy, but you know, it's my nature. I am a pastor.
What does that? What do you mean by that? Let's answer the question. What do you mean by when you say God?
So, in the same God in 2009 that confirmed and showed me this is your wife,
right,
is the same God many years later that went back and confirmed it to her. So he was telling us the same thing. It was just at different times.
So somebody might say, you know, some of the lames, let me call them lame right now. Shout out to the lames. They might say, hey, but that was 2009. Are you saying if you were listening to God, would you have been waiting around for 5-6 years? Would that be a healthy thing to do before she sees what she, before she saw what she saw, right? Actually heard from God. How would you adjust in that, you know? Because that was, you were praying and fasting in 2009. Yes. She didn't see anything until 2004. And we talked about the importance of wilderness here earlier, right?
Yes.
What would you say to that?
Yeah. So this is so important because, yes, and I tell people this, because God tells you this right now, does not mean for you to just, sometimes you need to pray. You need to continue in praying and continue to ask God, okay, how? And that's all about trust, right? That's all we preach, you know, trusting God, trusting the word of God, and trusting the Spirit to be led. So when, let's say in 2009, 2009 to all the way to 2014, would I just have been waiting around? No, because in the plan, within the same plan, that 2010 to 2014, I also had some growing to do. And
absolutely,
I had a lot of growing to do. Just because God is telling me, you know, God is telling you right now, listen, brother Elijah, you're gonna be a millionaire, right? Right. You might be thinking that right now. You start, you know, buying things left and right. Like, well, God said, maybe 50 years from now, maybe 20 years.
I feel like you could have even messed up your spiritual wife. Jesus Christ, imagine that. Right? There's a lot of men messing up their situation because they prematurely go into stuff like that. Now, it's not stuff we could do particularly from. There's one thing we can do intentionally in all of this. Connection with your higher self. You know, your higher self. That's how I comprehend God for me. You know, your higher consciousness, the one that submits to some kind of entity, like, because you're just a human being, you know, like we all have coconut head, we have unrealistic expectations, we have bad habits, we have demons that we carry around. It's not intentional, it's just what it is. And when you bring that prematurely into a situation that's ordained to be for a lifetime, you can literally mess it up, and then it won't last longer again, you know. And then, like you said, it was more so about the growth. Because shout out to the young lady who couldn't stay. We don't know why. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Okay? It's about you, Pastor Niran. It's about you and the growth that you needed to go through, however way you needed to go through it, so it can stick for the long term, you know. Absolutely. But that's such an awesome story, man. Such an awesome story. Yeah.
I'm glad.
No, a lot of people are going to be blessed with this. Shout out to all the 14 people watching us live. This video is going to have at least 100 views before the night is over. Especially if they're hitting the like button. Shout out to Take Heed to the Message. That's our wife. We're going to schedule a session with her as well. All right. Let's see here. The question I have for you right now is kind of similar to the question that wife has for you. You know, as a pastor, overseeing the youth in our church. Okay, and how do you integrate your personal experiences into guiding the younger generation in matters of love and relationship? You know, let's just mention their name. Who is the oldest among the youth right now? Who will be the oldest? Is it Alex?
I would say Gabriel of the guys, right?
Of the guys, yes. Gabriel. Gabriel just turned 28, 27?
29.
Gabriel just turned 29.
Yes. Gabriel's the oldest of the guys, I think. Gabriel, then Moses and Alex.
I'm gonna see if I can drag Gabriel here one day.
Gabriel was he's full of wisdom.
He was 12, 13, dancing at my wedding. I was sharing the video with him back then. But yeah, it'll be awesome. Yeah, Gabriel has a lot of wisdom. Absolutely. Yeah. So Gabriel is oldest. What about among the ladies? Who would you say the oldest?
Among the ladies is Grace. I would say Grace.
Okay, that's Grace. That's obviously Grace. Yeah. All right, and they're both children of my pastor. So,
yes.
All right. So, all right, good. So, with that being said, how do you integrate your experiences, your personal experience, into guiding them? How do you do? And I ask that because our pastors, Nigerian pastors especially, you and I feel the same way on this, so we don't have to, worry. Yeah. But we have to worry because we need to help them. They need a lot of help, right? And a lot of them, I'm looking for a cleaner language. God help me.
I feel free. Feel very free.
A lot of our Nigerian pastors are shooting from the ass. They don't know what is going on. They have no idea what's going on. Right? They're completely disconnected. And I want to say shout out to people like you because you stay connected. A bunch of them are at your house right now because they're going to sleep over because I'm supposed to be part of the paintball tomorrow, but I'm going to miss it, unfortunately.
I miss you, bro.
Because of the party that I have going on tomorrow night. But how do you integrate? What is your method? Right? Because they have a different experience from us at the end of the day.
Yes. Yeah. So especially with the younger generation, what I really do with them, like you just mentioned, some of them are coming here tonight. They're spending the weekend at my house. I number one is trust. If they feel that they can trust you, that is it. Because I speak to them. Number one thing, even though I was born in Nigeria, but I came in when I was very young, so I have both, and I grew up here. I'm as Nigerian as American as I am, so I'm on both ends, right?
Right.
Yoruba very well. I can understand their language. I can speak their lingo and all of those things. So I'm very, very well. So the first thing is, let them know that you are a beacon of trust for them, right? They can confide in you. There's no nothing hidden, no hidden agendas from my end, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's number one. And then number two is sharing in my experiences, is letting them know because I think, like you just said, a lot of the pastors are shooting from the what, right?
Right. No, you're free to not say it. It's okay.
We tend to usually just give the good. Oh, when I was this, I used to do it like this. It was so good. Listen, I give them the good, the bad, and the ugly. I said, look, guys, when I was younger, this is what I used to do. It's bad.
Right.
Don't do it. Run from it. Or I used to do this. You guys should, try to emulate it or even do it better than I did, right?
Right.
So give them experiences like when some of them have come to me, right? They'll tell me, give me some examples of some things that they're going through, right? And I might say, bro, I've been through this already. Let me tell you right now, this is a red flag. And I think you want to tread carefully on this end.
Right. Absolutely.
Or I might tell them, like, listen, what you're thinking is such a big deal is not that big of a deal. Just ask that question, and you might get a better response.
Right. You know what I like, and we're gonna do more events together to really help because we have a few of them, and we've done a few. We've had sessions and stuff. I'm trying to see if they can set up a panel on TWO, but we'll see for this pre-launch.
we should set up, within our church. We should do, because now we have the equipment. Now we should do
Right.
a Men of
A live
Prestige.
stream. That would be
Yes.
awesome. We did one last month that, and I want to say shout out to you because you allow me to come and share, what I know. I don't particularly come from a very strong religious standpoint. I come from a standpoint of game skills when it comes to understanding relationship dynamics, and you and Pastor allow me, so I want to say thank you for that, because the reason why, it's one reason why I asked that question, because sometimes when you mix religion together with spiritual and the matter of kwekus, and it just Angola, it just and many, let's be honest, many of them are not celibate or holding themselves, so that means they are exposed. That means they are potentially exposed to hurt in the most uncontrollable way, out of a control structure, and we can't. These are adults. There's only so much you can, you guide them, but you also teach them the game, and they will go through their own wilderness, and then they might not be able to find what we say useful now. They will find it useful,
For sure.
They learned from me, never argue with the woman. There's pushback. I said, listen to me. It's here. You're going to argue with a woman is a point. Avoid it as much as you can, right? Because you can't create anything productive from that, right? So that's one of the reasons why I really appreciate when I see young men who, because I have my favorite right now, my favorite in terms of pastors. Let me say this out loud in the public. I was telling my wife earlier, my favorite in terms of the pastors talking about relationships, my favorite right now is Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo. He doesn't really talk about Jesus much until when it's about to do altar call and prayer and stuff. He's talking real life stories. He's giving you real life examples, practical, and he has jokes and all kind of to go around to make it. He delivers in a way that even if you're an unbeliever, you get the message, And there are some other pastors that I'm not really a big fan of. I'm not going to mention their name just for that purpose, because there's no point, right? And it's either they are on one extreme or the other, right? They're either sounding extremely spiritual, like everything is spiritual, and from what I can see, people are disconnected. They are living in heaven now, and they're going to have to deal with relationships here.
Absolutely.
And the other extreme, somebody who is trying to force themselves to say that they are not spiritual. I don't like that either. I need you to just focus on the examples at hand, right? And deal with the issues like case by case by case. You don't need to prove to me that you're not spiritual. You don't need to prove to me that you're more spiritual. Let's just deal with the specifics of the examples. And that's why I brought the question about your experience. And you said something. You said you showed them the good, the bad, and the ugly, because this is the reality of what built us to find adults over a period of time. You want to speak to that, or there's a question? Somebody has a question in the chat here. Let me throw that. Sorry. Shout out to D Love. D Love says, D Love is one of my biggest supporters here. She said, "What would you say to someone struggling with their faith, like in the Christian way?"
Well, D Love, I would say one is, we find the reason why you're struggling with your faith. Is it because oftentimes, right, when we coming from the pastor's experience, right, you struggle with your faith because something that you have an expectation, right? You were expecting God to do something for you, and that expectation was not met. Sometimes people lose faith, or maybe, and listen, sometimes we go to different churches and maybe that church is not feeding you. It's not feeding your spirit, and you get kind of turned off, and you kind of just lose faith. And the funny thing is, you're not being fed spiritually, and maybe financially, monetarily, things are going well. You might develop in your mind like, what do I need this? What do I need this for? Right. So there's different aspects and different reasons why people lose their faith. But what I would say is, for someone that is struggling with their faith, right, is number one, just you have to understand, when you have an understanding that without Him, without God, you have nothing. You can be blessed with money, you can be blessed with different things, but there's a greater purpose in life than just having material wealth and all of these things, right? Your
Right.
faith really determines a lot of how you will succeed in things, right? Your faith in God. Let's say in the I think the brother says in the Christian way, right? So you have,
Yeah, it's a sister.
oh, it's a sister. Okay,
I think deal of your sister, right?
yeah. So okay, yeah. So it's mostly how Christianity is run, like a business. She says, it's a turnoff. So yeah, people can be turned off by that. But I always say this, right? Are we looking at Jesus or are we looking at the church?
Right.
Right? Are we looking at how Christianity is being practiced in maybe the church that you go to? Because I can tell you, there's definitely a lot of churches that you can go to that that they don't run it like a business, right? They can actually feed you the spiritual aspect. They can give you sound teaching, right? I would say number one thing that you want to do if you're struggling with your faith, find yourself a Bible teaching church, a church that is that teaches the word of God in totality. That they're not just feeding you, put money in the offering basket, you're gonna get blessed every week.
Right.
They're not telling you, oh, you're gonna be great. Sometimes you need a word that's gonna tell you, that's gonna uplift your spirit. Sometimes you need a word that's gonna that's gonna spank you. Maybe within your spirit you haven't been walking correctly, but you need a word that's gonna find yourself a church that way, that teaches, a church that grooms and I'm not a big fan of mega churches. That's just me.
You're not, right?
I'm not a fan of mega churches. That's nothing against them.
I get it. Yeah.
I just like the more personal, close knit,
intimate
discipleship kind of thing, where I can,
right,
as a pastor, I can speak to the young people and disciple them, call them every other week or so. Hey, how's it going? How's everything? So I would say find yourself a Bible believing, Bible teaching church, a church where you know that the pastor has the heart of the people in mind.
Absolutely, that's a good answer. I like that answer. All right, so I have this next question for you. Okay.
Yes.
With the young people, the young adults, coming up, the range of the ages right now goes anywhere from, that's the reality where we are. It goes anywhere from 23 to 40.
Yes.
People are marrying a lot later.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously a lot of people are divorcees too. They're trying to do it the right way all over again, right? Are there specific challenges or common themes that you've observed among the youth that you feel compelled to address right now?
Yes. Thank you for that question. I would say the biggest challenge, one of the biggest challenges, is this social media influencer generation that we're in. It can be so toxic and so delusional. It is, some of the information that's being passed on, right? So sometimes when I speak to the young men in the church, right, I hear them saying certain things like, well, yeah, I don't got to do this. Or if she ain't doing this, then I'm not doing this.
Right. We've had those conversations, yes.
Those things are happening in this generation, right? Where you're hearing it, like they're saying, well, if he or she's not doing this, then I don't have to do this. So, and you're listening to whoever you're listening to is what's feeding your spirit.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
They're feeding your spirit, and they're directing your decisions on what decisions you decide to make. That is such a big thing. And number two is also has to do with social media, because stop comparing yourself to what you're seeing on social media. It's not reality. Social media, or even some of these reality shows, right?
Right, even worse.
Just stop comparing yourself. Most of these people would kill to have the peace that some of you have.
Right.
A lot of them do not have peace. They really, really don't, right? So a lot of the young people, they see these things, they see these flashy cars, they see these women going to get BBLs, breast lift and tummy tucks and all these things, and they look at themselves and like, okay, this is the competition. How come I'm not like this? And you start to compare yourself, and is now drawing back into some mental, like a mirror for themselves. That man, I'm not good enough.
It becomes faith coming by hearing, right? Help me, Pastor.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Your reality, your perception about life, what you've been watching, what you've been hearing is going to shape it's not intentional. It's just what is going to happen. Period.
Absolutely. You can't escape it. You can't escape it. And it's so daunting and so interesting that a lot of the young people are in that phase today where that's what's happening, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
You end up missing out, you can miss your to be partner. Someone told me a very one of my very good friends, he told me the story of a young man who him and the lady were going together, and when he started courting this lady. By the way, I digress a little bit,
please.
When me and Dilla reconnected,
right?
When me and Dilla reconnected, I was not just in a bad place, like emotionally. I was also in a very bad place financially as well.
Mm-hmm.
Very bad place financially, man. I was like, even paycheck to paycheck is like even stretching it. There were days where I would pray that my car.
When people say paycheck to paycheck, it's like saying 50-50 relationship. It doesn't exist. It just means you're broke. You're probably negative. Right?
The account was a negative sometimes. I would pray to God that my car, because I didn't have money for gas, right? I would pray that my car does not break down on this road. It would just get me home, right? Just get me home on this Thursday night before I get paid on Friday morning to put some gas in it. I was such in a bad place, and then the car that I had broke down, and when me and Dilla reconnected, I had to drive. I was driving one of my friend's cars, right? I was driving my friend's car for a few months. So, and she knew that. I'm like, look, I can't afford to get a car right now. This is my friend's car. Like, this is me.
Right.
But there was something in her that she said, you know what? I know that at least this is the season.
It's a season. Yeah. Right.
And I'm willing to take the risk and take the chance with you because I know greater is coming.
Right. But she probably connected with the man in you, who is not what you see on the surface necessarily, right? Like, so for example, before I became successful at all, my first streams of success is stuff that's already who I am inside. You know what I mean? Like he's and the right person will connect with that. They're not really concerned about what it looks like on the outside. I mean, they're having tons of conversation with you. They're having a good time hanging around you, having arguments with you sometimes, but they're with you as your friend, right?
Oh, yeah.
They know, they know if it's nonsense, if it's BS or not, Yeah. Shout out to Diola on that. Yeah, absolutely. Many, you talked about the peace of mind. You're still talking. You were talking about, did you lose your train of thought?
Yeah, no, I was just kind of giving an example of how, like, having a peace of mind. Sometimes, like, whether women or guys, you expect this guy to be already a finished product already.
Right.
Right. And that's what they're seeing online. So they feel like that's just
comparing themselves. Yeah.
He has to have high six figures.
You're comparing yourselves to Angu, filters.
Yes. And it's not always going to be that way at all. And sometimes the beauty in coming together is the two of you now building something together. It's absolutely when you're able to build together, it's tremendous.
When my wife and I came back together in 2018, that was one of the things that Pastor told us. You have to do something together. We've done a lot together, to our children, household, but he wanted something specific that we could do together. And that's what gave birth to this book.
Awesome.
So controversial with the Indomie, what I call the Indomie generation. Okay, if you think you're Indomie generation, you are. Don't ask me which generation it is. You know who you are. Okay. Some might see individuality, a green flag, as a red flag with respect to potential marriage, right? How would you redefine the idea in terms of, I guess, maybe some kind of balance? Because individuality, a person like, I mean, when I see you and Deola, I always say there's some people, honestly, outside of your wedding or, but you are sitting in front with the pastors. She's always trying to hide somewhere. They come and drag her as a pastor's wife to the front, right?
Yeah.
She's always trying to hide. Like, why are you trying to hide? You're a pastor's wife. Just go there, okay? But you can see the connection even at different ends of the room, right? You can feel it, right? So there is obviously some sense of individuality there. She's not, at least from what I can see, there's no neediness there, right? And some people see that as a red flag, which is like, this is marriage. Why do you need privacy? how would you speak to them?
No, I think the best way that I can answer that is this. I think it's healthy to have that, right? You have to be an individual first before you can come together, right, to be married, right? You still have, you don't, when you get married, you don't lose your personality, you don't lose your individuality, right? You don't lose yourself, right? Yes, a piece of you now is merged with a big piece of you is merged with your partner now, but you still have your own thing. Like if I look at you and your wife right now, as gelled together as you guys are, as many things you guys are doing, you still have your personalities, you still have your differences that you will like, and then sometimes, you know, like when we're coming together, I'm the more social person, right? Between me and my wife, she'll say hi to you.
Are you the more? No, now from your observation, what would you say about me and my wife? Am I more social or she's more social?
No, she's more social.
She's more social. I mean, this ones will not believe. The Prestige family will not believe though. But go ahead. They won't believe you, but you know, yeah.
Well, what does she say?
Even my wife, she thinks she's more social too.
I think she
talks from both sides of her mouth. She talks from both sides of her mouth. I'll say that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I mean, because again, and you know what? Let me tell you this though. I would say this. That's actually unhealthy. I think it's actually unhealthy when you start to lose a bit of your sense of, you know,
self,
right? When you're married, because now this person, you're just, everything is about this person. Oh, my husband's a pastor. Okay, let me jump in. My husband is doing this. Okay, and you know, it's going to come to a point that husband will now look at it. Okay, where are you? Like, who are you? Is your sense of, you know, this is me, your personality, like you have that.
There's nothing to be attracted to if you're just all about me.
And men, let me tell you, men want to know that this woman that I'm with has some type of, she has a mind of her own.
Right. So contrary to the popular belief of the weirdos on the internet, men actually want the woman to have our own senses, our own autonomy, agency, individuality, brand, whatever that is.
Believe it. Now, that does not mean, of course, men, you know, women that are in this like kind of masculine independent, yeah, you know, so that can be it, but that's not necessarily what I'm saying here. What I mean is like they still want you to have a sense. Like for instance, if you're dating me now and I'm telling you, hey, I'm going to hang out with Ola and the guys next weekend. It's okay, yeah, I'll come along with you guys. Or, you know, oh, we're doing this. Okay, yeah, I'm going to come along with you. Like, no.
I said I'm hanging out with the boys.
Yeah, you should have something on your own, right? For sure.
Like, why I have to tell you that, you know. But anyway, yeah, there's some people like that. Absolutely. Now, speaking of wife, let's go to the questions she had for you. Okay. She's out and about. I'm going to go join her. We're about to step out tonight. A pastor with a terrible first ministry, marriage, that is not capable of helping the flock when they do inevitably run into a marriage roadblock. Do you agree, and why?
I absolutely agree. One of the things is this: if you're doing terribly,
is there a lot of pastors going through marital issues, in your opinion?
I would say yes, more than we would say, right? More than we would say, or more than we can feel free to discuss, because
more than we can be proud of. Of
course, because the thing is this, right? And That program that we were at 2 weeks ago that I thought
Right, we're supposed to be the guest speaker, but I was out of town. Yes.
yes, there were a couple of things, right, that was said, and in terms of like marriage and what's going on and how pastors are not agreeing with it, right? So sometimes, right, listen, in honesty, as great and as me and my wife are, there are some times where we hit this little dry patch, and we have to come back and be like, okay, how can we come back and work on this, or what's the communication? And a lot of that has to do, right, really, because I'm so focused on church. I'm away from work. I'm not engaged at home the way I should be, right? So those things happen, right? And then there's kind of like of a disconnect, and we want to try to avoid that. So it is very difficult for a pastor to, if you're not successful in your first ministry, which is your marriage,
right,
and home, to now go and dictate to the church or do anything.
You can't help. You'll be pouring from an empty cup too.
And the funny thing is this: we say this, that when you do get to a point where, God forbid, as a pastor, right, you spend more time focusing on the church,
or taking calls from the church, answering text messages from the church members
all the time. Listen, every pastor goes through this. Every pastor, whether they were admitted, because they don't ever want the people of church to feel a certain way. Every married pastor will go through this, right? But then there'll be a point in time where, listen, I've seen examples where the pastor would pour so much into the church, pour so much into the people of the church, and then at home, neglected.
Yeah.
And then what happens? God forbid, the home now crumbles. Guess what?
Yeah.
It's the same church people that will now say,
they will drag him now.
Drag that pastor. Thank you. Exactly.
They will drag him.
Yes.
They will drag him. All right. So she has a second question. When you're fasting and in some sort of solitude, right? How do you carry your spouse along so that they know you are not as available? It's kind of funny that you were just talking about that kind of, right? So now, since we know that a lot of pastors struggle with that, and everybody else should be worried about that because they have to be able to pour from something to you. And you don't want them to empty out the first ministry into your life because they probably will do a terrible job at helping you too, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that is. So I want to make sure I
the question.
I get the question.
How do you carry your spouse along when you're in some kind of fasting, some sort of solitude? Obviously with respect to faith, being a pastor, how do you carry your spouse along so that they know that you're not as available?
Right. So very good. Right. One of the things that's written in First Corinthians chapter 7, right? First Corinthians chapter 7. It's outlined and it's very detailed. I believe verse First Corinthians chapter 7, verse 3, 5, 3 to 5. It outlines a couple of things about marriage, right? So even if I'm going to actually even open it. It says abstaining from sex. It is permissible. Like if you're fasting and you want to abstain, absolutely. In fact, when you are fasting, it's even much more spiritually enhancing that you're not feeding your flesh. And of course, being intimate with your wife or your husband, it is obviously it's feeding to your flesh because it's God ordains it to be that way. But in the midst of fasting, it is appropriate for you to let your wife or your partner know this is I'm going to be fasting. I'm going to be abstaining, right? I'm going to be abstaining. I'm going to be this is what I'm doing. And anytime I fast, I let my wife know, babe, next week. And then there are some times I'll just be fasting and I'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm fasting today.
Right.
But yeah. So those things. So
it's just saying it. Just you keep them up to speed with what's going on with that.
Yeah, because it also scripture also tells us that you no longer have. I know the new generation doesn't like to say this, right? You don't have authority over your own body, right? And the new generation, they don't like to hear that. Because
my body, my choice.
My body, my choice. Exactly. Exactly. So it tells you that, right?
Indomie generation.
In the scripture, it tells us that the wife does not have authority over her own body. And the same thing as the husband does not have authority over her own body. So you let them know, if something that they don't agree to, you have to be in agreement with that in order for you to do it. So
You have to figure that out.
absolutely.
Right,
Because listen,
right.
let's be honest here. Look, let's be honest. Sometimes one partner, maybe the pastor's wife,
Right.
God bless you, somebody has a higher sex drive than the other, and
Right.
listen, you have to fulfill them, right? So you
Yeah.
don't deny them those things, and it's part of your marital duty that the vows that you took, and then you do that, right? So
Right. So now, so it's just a matter of hey babe, we're having a 3 days fasting and prayer on next week, and since you guys are on the same page, that means so many. That can mean a couple of things. It could mean sex. It could mean many other things. It could be I won't be available. I might be on a conference call multiple times per night for those period of time and stuff like that. So it's something that must be done. You must carry them along, basically.
absolutely, they must be carried along.
Yeah,
Without doubt. That's just part of communication as well.
See, they are with me. They say my body, my choice. You better not get married away. They're with me. She is with me, of course. Yeah, that's a good. So that's 1 Corinthians 7:3-5. The husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but use it to her body. Don't come here and be quoting Keisha Chavez and saying. There's this young lady that she husband found out that she's running an OnlyFans page, and then she's like, "But it's my body, my choice." I was like, and somebody's come here to quote that. I was like, "Does that person look like human being to you?" Anyway, in the same way, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but used to his wife. Do not deprive each other, except perhaps by mutual consent and for a time, so that you may devote yourself to prayer. Then come together again, so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control.
Look at that.
Yeah, that
So
makes
can I
sense.
say this as well? Can I say part of this as well? What that scripture is also letting us know is you're devoted to your husband, devoted to once you get married,
Mm-hmm.
no longer making decisions for yourself anymore. You're making a decision for two people.
Absolutely.
Part of what the struggle is for young people who are in relationships right now is that lack of I'm not submission is like such a
Mm-hmm.
it is
It's a
such
dirty word. It's a curse word. Yeah.
dirty word. Yeah. So yeah. So that's such a curse word in today's generation that nobody wants to hear it. But it's
Right.
actually beautiful in the sense if you look at how when a wife submits herself to her husband submits. Not necessarily
Right.
submit in the essence of the scripture where it says he loves his wife. Right. Husbands are commanded to love their wives. Wives are commanded to submit. We can get into a whole long topic
Right.
about that. It's very beautiful. You look at the harmony of it and how it's written and how it's supposed to be.
Right. And let me throw this to you as a question, right?
Sure.
So that scripture that I just quoted, I can see right now. That's one of the work that I do here. I can see a man using that to try to manipulate a wife into who is seemingly punishing him with sex, right? That's his interpretation of what's going on. She's weaponizing sex, right? And I could see that man reading these scriptures, and I can see him with blue balls for the next 6 months for trying that. What would you suggest for that kind of man?
So let me say it like this, right? So if I understand your question, the man that is
It's not getting none. It's not getting none. It's not like
not
it's
getting
bad.
any,
It's
is
not
she
getting
what-
any.
What is the reason that she's not giving it?
No, he's like, F your reason. Excuse my French. This is what the Bible said. This is what he's saying, right? Are you suggesting that he needs to find out why? Is that what you're saying? Because you just asked that question.
Why is she not? There has to be a reason.
He doesn't know. He just knows that the wife is weaponizing sex.
Weaponizing sex. Okay, so that's actually this is a big problem. On both ends, we can use it, but let's just say for this example of the woman that is the wife that is weaponizing the sex. There has to be a reason why she's doing this. I would hate to believe that she's just that wicked, right? She's just completely wicked. That there are some. Listen, There's
That's
some
all.
that
Yeah,
there are some
but
that
it's
will-
most likely not yours because you married her too at the end of the day anyway. It's probably not yours. There's a reason.
there's a specific reason. Sometimes you look at a woman that's all of a sudden refusing to give you sex or refusing to be intimate with you. There has to be a very specific. Maybe there's something that you did to her that made her to shut down and not, open up again. Maybe there's something. Listen, maybe you're not satisfying her. That could be a reason.
Right.
I know we men we don't want to talk about that.
Maybe
but
it's just routine. Maybe it's just routine for her, and she says another sure. I don't want to, for now.
When my wife said to me once, like, okay, you stop. Why you stop being romantic? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, there's a way that I'm like, okay, so
She just said it like, hey, you stop being romantic.
so we throw this word around, right? And she's probably gonna be up for saying this online, but every time I'm like, baby, intimacy. And then she just started laughing and like, yo, there's a type of way that there's an act of intimacy.
All right, so stop. There's no way we're talking about Diola. I have to find a way to get her here because now they're curious to see who this person is. Now they're curious, But that's awesome, man. Listen, there's no marriage that's perfect. There's nobody's life that's perfect. So you shouldn't expect marriage to be perfect, okay? In fact, that's a stupid idea that marriage should be perfect. In my opinion, I think it's a stupid idea as a matter of fact. We navigate through life and we get better with anything we put our minds to that we decide to learn some skills. It just gets better with time, But getting better with time is not a straight line up. Sometimes it's like all kind of, but you hold on, right? Absolutely. You hold on. But when you're holding on, you're working on yourself. That's your best point of leverage. So if you go and read this scripture to your wife, clearly you're making her the point of leverage. This is for you, okay? If you're subscribed to the same faith, she will know this too. But when she's caught up in that funky place,
absolutely,
you probably should apply some wisdom from other aspects of the Bible and not this particular verse.
And come back with another, yeah.
Right? To yourself, So, they said we gotta meet her.
Yes, very soon. She'll jump online.
Don't worry. Dela knows she owes me. She knows that. So, this is awesome, man. Listen, I want to say thank you, man, because you shared a wealth of knowledge tonight, and particularly experience. If you're not speaking from experience, if you're generalizing, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. Like, I think you're useless. I think you're going to probably create more damages in this, especially on this internet streets, because people would take a part of your story, right? And you didn't really tell the story because you were busy generalizing, and they were going to use it to hurt themselves.
Wow.
That's what's going on with the internet. People talk in general. People will either say all men are scum, or they will say modern women are terrible. They say things like that, right? And they end up hurting themselves more because the more they say, the more they believe it, right? But they hurt other people, and then they get more crowd because the more you generalize, the more you get, right? And of course, we can get more here by just telling stories too, right? Because storytelling is just as good. But I'm just saying, in the space where we are right now, generalizations are meant to be oversimplifying very complex issues, are hurting a lot of people, hurting a lot of people. And people are going into marriages with pre-notion ideas. They already have the fences up. They're already competing, and they might even look like they're Christians. They look like Christians. They quote scriptures and everything, like they know everything, speaking tongues, everything, right? But when you're confronted with a wife who say intimacy, and you are a pastor with pride, me, like, go sit down somewhere, right? Yeah. When you get caught up in your feelings, when you just got checked, but you gotta adjust, right? Yes, right now you probably figure it out, but the first time it happened, the second time, a part of your feelings was tampered with.
It was because I'm looking at it like, she's telling me like, okay, this is, this is supposed to be intimate. This is not just okay, let's do this, and then that's the end of it. And you realize that, like, listen, we all have, there's a need, right? And there's a need, and sometimes that need may be intimacy. Maybe that need is just, I saw you, you were looking really good, so let's get it on,
Right.
But you have to also, that's part of also feeding off of the vibes, right? That's what the young people say, feeding off the vibe of your wife, your husband. You have to
Right.
know what vibe they're in, and know what they like, right? I think after sometimes you learn each other's habits, you learn some of the things that really makes them, really gets them to that place that for intimacy where you would love to get them. So I mean,
Absolutely.
intimacy, definitely, that's a whole nother
All right,
long.
I'm gonna have to bring you back, but first, Diola. But I'm gonna have to bring you back. Definitely, this is a good start. We could never finish the story today. We could never finish all of it today. But I think they appreciate this. Many people. If you appreciate this and you're watching a replay later, make sure you put hashtag replay gang and let us know what you like the most about this session, what you learned from this session, and if you would please do that, that would be a very nice feedback. But yes, what do you like the most about what? Because it looks like you've entered the books more. What do you like the most about the book?
I started going. I still need to go through the entirety of it, but I do like the green flag, red flags, right? So there's a lot in the green flag. There's a lot of nuggets in there. There's a lot of things that you can look at. Obviously, right? Green just needs to go. But the funny thing is this, though. When I was reading the red flag part, it was very reminiscent, right? Like some of the reminiscent. Listen, I always tell people, and this might sound funny, but sometimes when a woman tells you, all my friends are guys, that is sort of a red flag.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
All my friends are guys.
All my friends are guys, right?
Ah.
And I don't mean that in a sense of like she's just sleeping with the guys, right?
Right.
It means that she's really surrounded around masculine energy, and she's going to exude that masculine energy. So
Right.
you as a masculine man, and her as a woman who's also, very masculine, there's going to be a lot of clashes.
Yeah.
Tons of clashes.
Yeah.
But we can get into that, maybe
We could get into that. I have a feeling that this book is gonna be not this book. This is the old one. This one is gonna be a series. I have a feeling it's gonna be a series. But my main goal, honestly, is to desensitize. My wife has a different goal. Believe it or not, we wrote the book together. But my main goal is to desensitize people from just building these fences around themselves. They're going to miss out on life and love. There's a way. Shout out to your story. There's a way you go about rebuilding yourself. So, because imagine if you're all close-minded and all closed up, what happens is that you will start to see what you don't want in a woman, in every woman. And in today's time, people jump on the internet, they search for how to get my wife back, and they enter this rabbit hole of very toxic ideologies, that basically all revolve around to hell with her. Well, good, to hell with her, but what about you? The most important element in all of this, what about your mind, right? What does that look like in real life? Because that person, right? I believe you, to hell with that, right? What about you?
Yes. Exactly.
Right. What does that look like? And so my goal is, I'll spell out some very basic red flags, but I believe that what you focus on expands. So it's going to be a long conversation, but I want to say thank you. You know Asagi, right?
Yeah.
My boy. Okay, all right. So Asagi is hanging out in the background.
All right, nice.
Also, both of you were on my train. Did they call it train for men? Groomsmen. My groomsmen. Both of you were my groomsmen. Yeah. All right. So he said, great session, gentlemen. Thank you for being vulnerable by Natu. Natu is going to be my next guest. And then we have about 7 more guests. We're going to have Kenny and Laide on the 17th. We have quite a few people coming. So just go to the channels page and make sure you set your calendars. Just set what do you call it? What do you call these things? Reminder for that, But thank you. You have a last word you want to share with us?
Thank you again, Ola, for having me on the show tonight. Such a pleasure to be able to share this experience with all of you. It's an absolute pleasure. And for everyone that's listening out there, I really want to just encourage you, you know, if you've been through any serious heartbreak, any type of life-changing thing that will cause you to want to change your own character. And when I say change your own character, it means like if you are somebody that's like normally you are a nice person, you are a caring person, you know, of course, go in with being vigilant, but you know, don't completely alter who you are, because that's exactly how God made you. Tread carefully with caution, but also proceed with the understanding that God has the best interest for you at heart. So I really pray that this session will really bless all of you, and I pray for all of the viewers out there, if you're looking for love and you're yet to find it, if you're going through any heartbreak, and I just pray that God will, in his infinite mercy and infinite wisdom, will find that person for you, and you will meet and you will have a fairy tale ending. Not perfect, nothing is perfect, but God will sustain it as long as he's in the foundation. May the Lord bless you in Jesus' name. God bless.
Hey man, that's awesome, man. That's a perfect way to finish this up. My G, that's what's up. Listen, I would do this all over and over. You make it seem so easy, man, to just have this conversation and this. Having a conversation and interviews is not really my favorite thing to do either. That's in addition to the fact that I don't like chasing people around. But you made it seem very, very simple, man. So I want to say thank you so much for sharing. I think it will bless a lot of people, you know. All right, so let me see here. D-Love says thank you, what a blessing. Amen. Amen. We're starting this off with a bang. Oh my God, I love it. All right, so hang around for a second. Okay, Pastor Niran. Everybody, thank you for stopping by. We're gonna have the next one with Natu on Sunday at 5 p.m. I want to say thank you for being here. Hopefully you've been enlightened and entertained. I will see you on the next one, and peace.
Beautiful girl, spoiling I find a beautiful girl.
It's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One loving up with